great news today, again, for the brilliant team at Lord of the Rings. 6 Oscar nominations for The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. The film is in with 4 others for Best Picture. That's an award, of course, for Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh and Barrie Osborne. But there's also that special effects nomination, undoubtedly to honour the creation of that magical character, Gollum. We'll be speaking live to Barrie Osborne shortly. He's with us in Wellington. But first, how did they do it? We're behind the scenes now with this slimy, mournful, and yet, of course, strangely sympathetic Gollum, the creation of both actor and computer. This for another minute, Roderick.
He's called Gollum, and defined that name defines him because of the way he sounds. We all just want to make Gollum the kind of the most believable digital stroke, animated stroke, being on that's ever been created.
And action.
Andy does the voice of Gollum, but more importantly than that, we actually had Andy on set acting as Gollum.
Friends. You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
We would shoot the scenes with Sean, Elijah and Andy. We would then paint Andy out, so we have an empty background where he used to be. We would then have Andy play the scene a second time, but this time in a very carefully controlled motion capture stage.
Not listening. Not listening.
I wear a motion capture suit, which has reflective dots carefully positioned at all the joints, which are picked up by 25 cameras going all the way around the studio. And the Gollum puppet moves in real time to my movements.
You're a liar.
It's like wearing prosthetics. Instead of painting your face and putting latex and sticking it to your face, like John Rhys Davies has to wear prosthetics with Gimli, I'm working in a way which is like wearing virtual prosthetics. So the whole kind of emotional, physical, and psychological aspects of playing a role were coming from me.
Go away! I hate you.
So when Andy's doing expressions and we have the same expressions being done by Gollum, they look like two kind of really weird twins.
Why don't you be It wasn't me. Because of me.
I don't think there's been anything like it. And I feel very privileged to be kind of first. It does feel kind of pioneering, really.
We told him to go away. And the way he goes,
Well, in Wellington we have an Oscar-nominated producer of Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Barrie Osborne. Was it Gollum, really, do you think, that caused the big nominations today, or do you think it might have been the performance of an orc swinging on a rope which pushed it over the top, Barrie?
I heard that in the reel we had that orc, the rope pulling orc, and he certainly pulled us through. Seriously, Gollum is a great creature. I think Andy's work is incredible, and coupled with the what digital animators and the texture painters that gave Gollum this lifelike feeling, the way he was lit in the scenes, it's great.
Where did our people learn this stuff? I mean, this is stuff that's not been done before anywhere.
Really, it's Peter's vision for the film, and there are people from all over the world that actually joined in at What a Digital, working on this stuff and bringing to New Zealand skills from all over the world, the best that you can actually acquire.
6 Oscar nominations, second year of the movie, the second part, into the second year of the trilogy. 6 nominations. Do you feel the same delight today, or the team getting used to them?
Oh, it's always a delight when you get nominated for these awards, and it's a thrill.
Some people might say, Barrie, it's a bit of a pity. No Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor nominations. No Best Director nomination today. No Best Script nomination today. But when you look at those what do you call them? Those categories. When you look at the categories. They are wonderful news really for the New Zealand film industry because they're such specialist craft awards, aren't they?
Yes, they are. I think what one of the rings clearly demonstrate is that you have within New Zealand the ability to build these wonderful sets and select these great locations and bring a production design to the screen that is a value that is as good as anything else in the world, and maybe even better. Same with sound. We had a long road to go down to convince New Line to make them comfortable with doing the sound mix in New Zealand, and I think now, having been nominated twice for Best Sound, it's clear that the film unit can do a mix as good as anywhere.
I mean, your experience in movies goes back decades. You go right back to Godfather Part 2. You worked on Apocalypse Now under Coppola. You were vice president of features at Disney, so you oversaw movies like Ruthless People, The Color of Money, Tough Guys, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Good Morning Vietnam. How do the Lord of the Rings team compare to those teams, which, of course, were some of the best in the world?
They measure up very favorably. They measure up as good as any of them. And the thing that's nice about working in New Zealand is everyone pitches in, and it's not as rigid a system, so that you really feel like you're working on a team of people to a single purpose.
Was Peter disappointed today not to get the Best Director nomination?
I think we all feel, first of all, that you can't be nominated for a Best Picture without a Best Director. There's somebody at the helm of that ship. It's not just wandering over the course willy-nilly. There is some sure hand at the wheel, and that's Peter Jackson. So whether or not he actually gets the nomination, whether the Academy chooses to wait until next year, is somewhat a matter of chance in politics and the way people vote.
Well, that's right. That might be rather hopeful, mightn't it? Because the Academy surely wouldn't be that sentimental, would they?
That's right.
Yeah. You know, Barrie, another remarkable thing, the films are adaptations of treasured, famous books. And yet there hasn't been, since the first Lord of the Rings came out, as far as I know, there hasn't really been a murmur of outrage so far from the purists, from the Tolkien nuts. That's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We took a lot of... Peter himself is a huge fan of Tolkien, as is Philip and Fran. And one of the smartest early moves we made in bringing the films to the screen is bringing aboard two conceptual artists, John Howe and Alan Lee, who illustrated much of Tolkien's work. So naturally, our films have that feel for the material. And I think that the writers really captured Tolkien's spirit on screen. Obviously, it's a different medium, it's a different work of art, so there's an adaptation, but I think we are true to the spirit of Tolkien.
And Return of the King, the last of the trilogy, due for release, I guess, this Christmas. How far through are you?
We have a fine cut of the movie we have since last September, but one of the great advantages of doing three at once means that Peter actually has a chance to go back with the benefit and perspective of time and look at the film fresh and say, we could really make this that much better if we did a little tweak to this and did a little tweak to that and maybe picked up a little enhanced scene here or there clarifying the story. So we're very far along. We have ahead the visual effects, the scoring, and the sound effects, and also just locking the picture finally.
Congratulations again, Mr. 2 years in a row Oscar nominee film producer Barrie Osborne. Thank you very much again for your time.
Thank you, Paul.